Yo, welcome to podcast. This is a podcast that we have a name of that we're doing, and it's lit, and we're going to talk about the failure of our democracy today.
Ooh,
all right, yeah.
Man. Yes.
We're going real names now, right? Or are we going fake names or fake?
I mean, it's only camera footage, so I don't think he's going to pixelate everybody's face.
I could. I just didn't last time. But
I mean, you should have last time.
We are people who. It doesn't matter who we are. It's what
True.
we are, and what we are is
anonymous.
Discussing. We are Legion. We are Venja. We do not forgive. We do not forgive. What we're discussing this week are a bevy of topics.
Indeed.
There was quite a lot that happened. The complete and total exoneration of our president, Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Also the King of Israel. We have to mention
he is the King of Israel.
We have to mention all of his.
King of Israel.
We have to mention all of the realms that he's a part of.
Yeah.
While we do. Jesus Christ! You need to not. I get why Caesar has like extra stress problems now. But no, yeah. What you have a list of topics there.
We're going to talk about the impeachment. We're going to talk about
failure of impeachment.
True. Why do I have Russian collusion there? Oh, yeah, I do.
I know why. Because it's a point. Yeah. I spoke to Noam Chomsky, so I can answer all of your questions.
Nice.
I'm very jealous.
Also, we're gonna. If you guys want, we can talk a little about what's going on with the Iowa Caucus. I don't know if you guys watched the debate last night.
I did.
Oh,
you did?
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't.
I watched a little.
Oh, well, I heard kind of. What
it was the best debate so far.
Like that's what I've heard.
I saw Amy Klobuchar kind of going nuts at the end, like I'm actually real.
I mean, well, Amy Klobuchar is a bit of a statement. I think we can get to the Democratic stuff too, because I think it's like, but she has always had a thing out for Buttigieg.
No,
like,
oh really?
No, because they're like, which centrist is better?
No, which Midwest centrist is better?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So
which minority's Midwest centrist is better? I'm a gay man. I'm a woman. Let's go and fight. There you go.
He also is of way back Arab descent, so I'll give him that.
Pete Buttigieg, man of color. You heard it here first.
Yeah. His last name is Arabic last name.
His last name.
Literally is father of chicken. So he might be black.
That's what it means.
Literally is boot edge. So let's talk about impeachment.
Yes, let's do that.
Where do we start with this? I mean, we did this kind of in an explanatory way. The thing I like about this space and forum that you can listen to in audio format maybe is a way to take a step back from the news cycle and kind of just like start from the beginning most contextually. So what happened was Trump was put up for impeachment after making a phone call with Ukraine.
Oh, we're going back.
I mean,
just like
Fred Trump one day bought some property in New York.
Then he marched with the Klan.
Right.
No, this was after, before, and during. No, but so the issue was over this call, and the reason why this looked shady was because
try to get dirt on a one
Joseph Biden Sr.
Well, let me just say, like,
yes,
I am we're all of us, I guess. I don't know about Sean, if he's some kind of fascist, but we identify with the left in general, and I think both of us.
I'm not a fascist, asshole.
Okay, my bad.
We got jokes here.
Right. I think that we're more left than like what do you say?
Obviously, we're more left than
obviously the centrist kind of Democratic Party people.
Fuck that
I would say,
neoliberalness.
Sure, for sure. So like
I'm card carrying Clubby, but
so
I'm just kidding.
a lot of the people we follow and stuff like are leftists, and they identify as that whenever, I don't know like how often they say that, but I was a little bit disappointed seeing that a lot of people that I respect, mostly they talk about foreign policy, but they seem to kind of like poo-poo on the whole like Ukraine thing, and
what do you mean?
I was not that I was shocked, but like I was just like, yo, like this is really bad. Like what Trump did, in my opinion, is like
it is impeachable.
What Trump did, which I just want to get through, which is like he had this call with the Ukrainian foreign minister saying
president,
saying that we will, basically to paraphrase, we're withdrawing foreign aid until you investigate Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, who worked at a Ukrainian defense firm, and see if he was there for like self-dealing reasons, which like obviously, but so is anyone in the Trump family.
Yeah.
But like, so.
Well, it seemed like also he was saying until he announces that they're investigating the Bidens. And not just Hunter, but Joe Biden too.
He's
It
trying to get dirt on Joe Biden through a different government.
But it's a good point to distinct that, because what Trump ultimately wanted was an on-air TV interview that was going to be set up with Fareed Zakaria that was about 6 hours away from airing before like things actually started to turn around and the people who recently just got the boot from the White House started blowing whistles. But like at that point, Trump just wanted that announcement to make it look like Joe Biden, who he thought was who everyone in the Democratic establishment and the betting markets until a couple of days ago thought was going to be the presumptive nominee.
And actual people who were on the ground saying he ain't got shit.
But you know what's funny, because unless you were going to say some more about that.
No, I wasn't. You can go back. Yeah.
I think that like the way I saw it is like, that's really bad precedent to be set, because it doesn't just hurt Joe Biden. It
hurts
like
America.
If that president of Ukraine comes out and says, we're investigating the Bidens, or like Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, whoever, and then also we're going to investigate this whole server thing with the DNC. I think that I don't want to say completely, but that does a lot to destroy the credibility of the Democratic Party in general, and not just the Bidens and just like Hillary Clinton. The whole party. And Trump can use that to talk about anybody running against him.
Well, what aspect do you think? Wait, so Trump can use what? The fact
that the Democratic Party is corrupt, and obviously nobody knows who the Ukrainian president is. He was a comedian or something like that. But this guy came out and said they're investigating these corrupt people. So you can use that to just destroy the party, including Bernie, I think, too.
I mean, so Bernie strategically has not chosen to use the Burisma stuff. I mean, like, if we take our political differences here, like, of course, Hunter Biden wouldn't have gotten that job in Ukraine if Joe Biden wasn't his dad.
Yeah. Sure.
But, like, at the same token, Trump is literally there because of his dad, and his kids are there.
Nepotism isn't illegal, and I know it looks bad, but like everybody's guilty of it.
But to your point of corruption, and when we get to the later point of impeachment, because to speed through and then get to the point, the Democrats in the House, which they control, voted to impeach. Yeah. But we all knew that once we get to the Senate, Cocaine Mitch would just fucking kick that shit out.
Exactly, like that, and that was the whole thing, because also the way that Nancy Pelosi said, "Hey, we're only going to do impeachment over Ukraine and nothing else," was my big problem with impeachment. Because if you do like a whole big ass thing of all the things that Trump has done, all the things with like Saudi Arabia coming over and spending $200,000 to sit at a hotel room and then doing arms deals with them, you can impeach stuff over that.
You can go from Saudi Arabia staying in the Trump hotel to T-Mobile staying in the Trump hotel. Like,
but
they're all trying to get
Nancy Pelosi's dumbass goes, "We're only going to do Ukraine and that's it, nothing else, and that's impeachment."
And so I
disagree with that, but go ahead.
But wait, to connect that point together, that is kind of what Nancy Pelosi was trying to say, that we're going to shorten the scope of the investigation so we can narrow our focus and have a clear message. But like, the message is always going to be distorted. But now what you have is the Democrats wanted to get Republicans on record for protecting their president, and it's very clear, it's out in the open. The Trump wanted to try to get the Democrats and paint the Democrats as corrupt. And the truth is, everyone's wrong but right. Like, everyone's corrupt. They're calling each other corrupt, kind of knowing that they're corrupt. But the loser is America in general, because we've now set the precedent that a president can do this so long as the right political party controls all the branches of government. And guess what? Republicans control the judicial branch. They control
the problem of having a two-party system.
It's a problem with what I've become more increasingly convinced. The problem with having our system of government and a two-party system, because the system of government was meant to keep the other branches in check, whereas our two-party system is meant to take over all of the branches, so they're just gonna be at odds with each other all the time.
That's also why our forefathers did say, "Hey, don't make political parties." Oops.
And then they proceeded to create political parties.
Political parties, exactly.
Okay, well, going back to what Sean was saying about the narrow scope, I actually think that's a good thing, because if you start talking about the emoluments clause and like all these different things that people don't really know much about, it can kind of, like, the thing that I didn't want to see was like, oh, well, Obama did this, and Clinton did this, and Bush did this, and then that justifies
Muddies
Trump's
the
actions.
waters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think the big thing that really, probably the worst part about it all was that they voted to not allow witness and documents.
That was
like,
horrible.
that's even worse than them voting against impeachment, because what's his name? Is it Lamar Alexander or something like that? I think he's from Tennessee. I can't remember.
Yes.
He was basically saying, like, yeah, Trump's wrong, but like it'll be too chaotic to remove him from office. That's something I don't. He might be right, honestly. Like, he knows better than me, probably.
But that's not like a legal argument. And to be fair, impeachment is not a legal process.
It's not.
But like, it's
unless you listen to Alan Dershowitz now, as opposed to Clinton.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Impeach? No, don't impeach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But he got his dick sucked. He didn't. Don't impeach which one?
But I think that the narrow scope was good because what Trump did was so wrong. Like, that's so
terrible.
wrong. Like,
it's so corrupt.
it's bribery at its height, and it's completely ridiculous, and it sets such a bad precedent. Like, you're telling me that that's okay means that, hey man, just get any poor country and be, hey, Mozambique president, say you're investigating Amazon,
right.
and you know, like, you can just like run the gamut of places that want some $500 million from the United States, which is nothing to America, and just get the whole shit screwed up.
Yep.
no, like, part of it is, the precedent sets, but also what I was trying to get at is where the issue now is to make it political and to make it matter to people, because right now it's just team sports.
For sure.
There's no convincing any other Democrat or independent that Trump is bad. Like, they all agree, and there's no convincing Republican that Trump is bad, because they're all like, maybe he is, he probably isn't, but he's gonna get, like, he's
our team,
he's our
and he's getting
yeah.
our guys elected, our guys into the judicial branches.
He's our Tom Brady, and he can inflate as many White Houses as he wants to.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like I'm skipping a little bit, but I kind of want to ask this now because we're kind of talking about it.
Yeah.
Do you guys look at the Trump election victory and the phenomenon that's happened since he won as some sort of counter-revolution? Yeah. Like, is it like a white counter-revolution?
I think it is. Well, no,
because I kind of feel like that.
As a white counter-revolution.
This guy's gonna protect him. Look at this month. Look, watch this. Go ahead.
Great White Hope. No.
Great White Hope. It's more of a, I wouldn't even say working class, but actually no, it would be. Actually no, you do have a point with the white working class. Again, counter-revolution of all of the people who have been a lot of
who have felt aggrieved and like
exactly,
forgotten by the Democrats. Exactly,
because it's two things. You have the right, you have the really racist branch that was awakened because of all of this as well, who have been in their slumbers, I like to say, because of the past, 20, 30 years of politics, and now you have somebody who's more on their side. Those people have definitely been awakened for sure. And then you have people that have been on the fence or other stuff of where they're just so disenfranchised with governments or what's been going on in the political system, where they have been awakened as well, but they'd be maybe more neutral comparatively to it, or they don't follow politics as much, and here's somebody who's a populist or who's an actual.
You don't think there's a lot of white people that hated seeing a black person in the White House?
Oh, 100%. I know people that.
And that's an aspect of it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's honestly what I think is most of it.
I don't think it's most of it. I think most of it is, this is what happens when you have a populist run. Somebody who's running say, hey, I'm going to do all of these things. Obviously, he doesn't do shit. He says, I'm going to drain the swamp. I'm going to get rid of the troops out of Afghanistan. I'm going to give you back your jobs. Meanwhile, Hillary's saying, hey, I'm going to get rid of these jobs, but not replace them with anything else. He says, no, I'm going to get everybody here to work. And that's what a lot of people worry about, especially in middle America, is what they're going to put food on the table.
But a lot of middle Americans don't want to see Blackie in the White House, too.
There's that, too. Well, I'm saying there's that. It's a mixture of the both.
What populism does, usually, and what, like, smart, what adept populists do, and I think you can separate populism from political practice versus, like, political talk, is that it basically says, here are your problems, they're the problems of it, and I'm going to solve the problems.
Yeah. And so, like, no one else has been saying that for a long time. And so
the point you're saying where it's like darky, but like anyone, just like...
Well, I said Blackie, relax.
Oh, sorry, not this month, I forgot. But like, obviously you would ignite a whole segment of the population that's racist or has like racial tension. But you also have to realize that, I don't think you're saying this, but I think to make it clear, Trump is not a phenomenon. It's just like a coalescing point in things that have been boiling in the country forever, but especially in the last 30 years.
Because once neoliberalism started,
not just neoliberalism. It's more just like it's a political strategy where the Republicans decided, wait, no, there's politics can be zero sum, especially if we're the only ones who treat it that way.
Exactly.
Where they're just like, one more chart and the Republicans will agree with us.
Yep.
Ooh, one more Vox article and the Republicans will be on our side.
Yeah.
Well, we're just like, fuck it, we're gonna kill you. And they realized that type of politics worked over.
But who does that appeal to, though?
The white working class.
That politics.
I don't know if it's the working class as much.
And I also want to make something clear. Most of the working class is people of color.
Yeah.
So when we say working class, the average person in the working class is a woman of color. Because that just means people who are male and people who are less of color have an easier time getting white collar jobs, generally speaking. So the working class is generally people of color, but the white working class is a subsection of that has certain class similarities, obviously, with people of color, but different racial stratifications.
Exactly, and they have different
allow
different
that
backgrounds,
to be
different stuff, and that really was awakened because of that as well.
Yeah, because even
there
the
was
oldest,
somebody that was disenfranchised for a long time because of elitists and stuff. So because there's so many. But here's the thing too: they were awakened in 2016 because of that. But a lot of them now go and say, I've seen a lot of videos and stuff or whatever, interviews with people who voted for Trump saying, "Hey, I voted for him. I don't agree with a lot of his his racist stuff, especially stuff on the border, but because he's going to give me back my jobs. But now I realize that all his stuff he said he lied about, and now they're going against him or whatever."
The only pushback I have on that is that if it's about elitism, Trump is an elitist himself. And
exactly, but people don't understand that.
Well, I think a lot of people elected Trump thinking that this is the elitist that's going to work for us.
Well, I think also because he had racial undertones, if not overtones, in his election campaign. He was saying stuff that George Bush would never say. John
McCain would never say.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney wouldn't say. Well,
John McCain. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
well, because he said some shit about the immigrants and stuff. But
but John McCain was the one who's like, no, he is not an Arab woman.
I'm trying to get that Saudi money too. But I think that there's a lot of it that is just we're going to push back against Jay-Z in the White House. We're going to push back against that, feeling left out from that office by having a black dude and his wife and his black kids and Beyonce and Chance the Rapper and whoever else.
Right, but you're trying to say that, yes, the aspects of the white working class are racist and aspects.
I don't even think it's the working class, because I mean,
I want to get this way back to impeachment because I think point. But what I do think this matters is that there were Obama voters and then there were Trump voters, and then there are a lot of. I think you started this conversation with things we hated with left of center media and the way they're treating impeachment as not a big deal. And I think that's something we can put a pin in and come back to really quickly.
Okay, let's do that. Because I want to go off on some of these guys.
Right, but I think that the way that one misconception in the media that's really big is that most people don't really care about politics and don't think about it a lot. We have polls with Iowa, which we'll get to later, and New Hampshire, where 1 or 2 days out before, people haven't made up their minds on who to vote for. You can be a regular person and just pay attention to the years-long race that this has happened. You would know what you want to vote for. You'd be crazy, but you could do that technically with all the information you have. But ultimately, people are low information voters, and they decide in the voting booth.
That's so annoying.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Why is it going to be like that?
No, but you can also look at it and say, hey, it's actually really easy. Because I think a lot of times we overcomplicate it. We say, oh, there's no way we're going to be able to appeal to them because there's no way me as a Bernie supporter is going to be able to appeal to a Republican because Republicans are just going to say socialist and they're going to scream and shit their pants. When you just say, hey,
these are the
no. You just break it down and just talk to a person and go, hey, person to person, what was it like when your like grandparents died and like had healthcare issues and had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars when they died? My guy wants to make that never happen again.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't matter at that point. You're just like talking to the person. I think more politics works like that than it does in these like media ways. So I think the media is in a way also indicted in this impeachment process as well, because
the media is indicted forever in America.
Especially ever since the Gulf, starting the Gulf War.
But the problem is, I mean, one of the things for me, like, I don't really pay attention to mainstream media at all. Like, I haven't since 2007 or so.
And a lot of what I pay attention to is through the filter of left leaning.
You know what's hilarious?
Yeah, me too.
Because what runs in this house 24/7 is Fox News, so I hear it all the time, so I know what they talk about. And I just literally, I look at mom half the time and I go, they're so wrong. This is fucking hilarious. I'm literally gonna pop it up right here and Google everything and be like, this is the numbers. These numbers don't lie.
I mean, but I mean, if you're saying that people are low information voters, then they can be easily swayed by like whatever.
That's my whole point. That's my whole point with Trump. What he was saying earlier, how it's a lot of racial tensions. It's not just that, because
it's not just
there's so many people.
That's a lot of that.
A lot of it is, but I would say that also awoke in that part and another part of people that were so disenfranchised with politics that they didn't pay attention to it until some loudmouth asshole came on the stage and they're like, oh, cool.
And people hate Hillary Clinton too.
Exactly. Well, first, she's the most unpopular politician in history.
Yeah, and she's had 30 years to be unpopular.
Exactly. Yeah, she has so much shit. But that's what I'm saying, because I know talk to so many people around who voted for Trump just because they think he's an outsider. They think how loud he is. He's not a politician, and that's what people think about.
And the little other option was Hillary Clinton. Who's like everything.
Real politician.
But like,
I was trying to get to that point.
You were getting to a point about disenfranchisement and like people feeling disenfranchised, which I think is closely tied to your point about certain pundits treating impeachment as though it doesn't matter. So is that something we can start to tie in?
Yeah, like I don't follow a whole bunch of these guys, but I follow them. I remember specifically during when Trump assassinated Soleimani.
That was wild.
And
personally,
literally came with a missile, dropped it.
No. He walked up to Soleimani's house and choked him out.
In the airport. What's her name?
Don't really bleep that for a bunch. Please bleep that.
Shit,
not this month.
I didn't hear it, so. But I was watching a live stream on the Gray Zone, and I want to say it was Max Blumenthal, Ben Norton, Rania Khalek, and maybe someone else. I can't remember. And Aaron Mate. Who I had to unfollow him on Twitter.
Absolutely not. Fuck that
guy. He and Michael Tracy have the best opinions on the internet, actually.
Michael Tracy.
And somebody in the comments was like, hey, like, do you think that this has, I mean, just easy, like, do you think him doing this, like, crazy act where, people are actually worried about World War III, do you think it had anything to do with him trying to take attention off the impeachment?
100%.
All of them are just like, no, and just kept it pushing. I'm like, damn, is it that easy? Like, you want to give no credit to like this impeachment hearing to the point where you won't even discuss this a little bit. Like, I don't know what Aaron Mate was saying. I'm sure he was defending Trump 100% just because it had to do with Ukraine. But I was just like, damn, how is that not bad? Like, and it's bad because they could not even talk about what Obama did. If it was like something just normal, they would have been like, oh, but look what Obama did with Panama. Like, they would have just brought that up right away. And the whole time they didn't do it. Literally, have Alan Dershowitz in front of everybody being such a hypocrite. And I can't believe not one person just said, you're a hypocrite. You that defended Jeffrey Epstein, you're a hypocrite and you're trash, and Natalie Portman used to work for you.
The left people I've listened to on impeachment, some of them were either super gung-ho about it, some were skeptical.
What was Kyle Kulinski saying?
He was saying a couple of things. One, that he was on my thing of you should put a lot of other things other than just Ukraine, because in order to get some people who are on the fence about it to try and meet it in the aisle, because it's never...
I disagree with that, but I feel him, though.
Yeah, but because he said it's never going to pass the Senate because it's a Republican-controlled Senate, but the only way to try and make it pass is if you add a bunch of other stuff where it's going to hurt people into it more.
Overwhelming evidence. Some more
exactly.
like
that was his idea.
That's a theory.
And once Nancy Pelosi said that, he goes, "Oh my God, this shit's going to die!" Like immediately.
Well, it was going to die regardless.
Yeah. But then this thing he said with Soleimani, he said, okay, this could definitely be now trying to get rid of impeachment with him killing this, because if you start stuff with Iran, that's what all the news medias are, everybody's going to talk about, and then impeachment goes away. Yeah. And he said when Iran was going to look at all this other shit that's going on that no one's talking about. So he was on your thing about it. For sure. He said that this is definitely behind it, so...
he was carpetbagging the 25th district. I have no idea what he was saying on the topic.
I mean, do you know, what were people talking about at the Young Turks? I'm not sure.
No, truthfully, I don't pay... If I'm not producing the show that day, I'm not really paying that much attention to what
I hate some people so much.
But, no, I'm just being real. I'll...
Well, what do you think, actually?
Yeah, I'll talk
those people.
Yeah, I'll talk about my perspective on not exactly what I think, but on the media.
I know what you think. What do you think about the impeachment, homie?
There's a segment of the media that looks at impeachment and goes look, we could have called this in September. It's going to pass the House. It's going to fail the Senate. A couple Republicans are going to do some performative votes. Mitt Romney's walking around like he's a goddamn saint. Yeah, and I had to talk to people on main show and get it clear the other day that no, Mitt Romney's just a swarmy asshole.
Exactly.
But so I can get from some people like that who reflect the way a lot of Americans feel, which is that Trump's been above the law because fucking everyone's been above the law because there's a two-tier justice system. It's something that we understand in the hood, we understand in this other world, but you don't actually get this you don't actually start to see this in higher society at playing, at least for a lot of people, until you get this moment. But we all kind of realize that, okay, Trump and a lot of these people, the Epstein-like and acquainted of the world, are just above the law and are not...
Epstein has died in jail.
But okay, but it wasn't because the law got him, it's because his friends got him.
I mean, true.
His friends told him, I was like, we're going to kill him real quick before he tells all.
Yeah, literally. So, it's allegedly. So, it's...
If your friend's closer, your enemy's closer.
On the one hand, yes, you get jaded because there's all this media upheaval and process for something we all know is inevitable. And it's the same thing they kind of do because they're just trying to make money. It's a whole, theory of media is very tried and true.
Yeah.
And I think that opinion that, we should focus on things that don't... this is 2020, a lot bigger issues are in the country. We could focus on those things. That's a lot more prevalent. I think that should exist. However, I disagree with those particular pundits on the left not also making the point that what this says about impeachment, what this says about the country, at least in laws, is very bad precedent and is truly horrifying.
Honestly, that's how I feel too, because I'm just if Dershowitz and whoever the other guy was are literally arguing that this...
Ken Starr, right? It's a boy Ken Starr.
Yeah. They're basically making the argument that this man can't do anything wrong. And I'm just okay. One, keep that same energy if Bernie's in office. Or if Dan's
Alan
in
Dershowitz
office.
Absolutely will. When President Cory Booker is there, Alan Dershowitz is going to be chief there when it finds out that he and his girlfriend are trying to launder money from Canada. I don't know.
Girlfriend? But
I don't think she's going to be with him that much longer that he's not running for president. It's a lot less sexy.
Well, he don't need her anymore.
He's just a bald vegan now.
Yeah, he's vegan. But I was talking about more about the rumors about it. But I don't know. I'm just okay. So we have a dictator, and everybody and people are going to be okay with that. What else can he do? And what else, will he be willing to do?
What else is he doing?
Yeah, what else is he doing? Because I still think that the Ukrainian president is going to bring that shit up still and be hey, we're investigating the Bidens. I would not be surprised.
Good thing it doesn't matter because if anything, that'll be good because Biden actually gets the media coverage.
But if you
Biden needs the media coverage.
But if you start saying we think the DNC hacked their own server and said the Russians did it, all that stuff muddies the waters politically and just makes it politics is a dirty game. We know that. But, like, there's got to be levels to the dirt. Like, if you're just going to start calling up ratchet, poor oligarch countries or just anywhere and be like, hey, dude, like, say this and we'll give you some money. Like, come on, dude. Like,
I mean, you do understand the Trump administration is doing that domestically, though. I mean, like, technically not the Trump administration, but we did this story where Trump-affiliated PACs are going into urban areas and handing out cash. Like, they're doing jackpots at Trump rallies. And not Trump actually being there, but they're like, hey, we're people who are supporting Trump, and you have a chance to win $400 cash. And literally, like, they raffle people off, and they're in black communities. Like, look, we're literally giving money to black folks. Vote for Trump. Vote for Trump. And there's always this irony that, like, you know, the reason Democrats have all these social welfare programs, they're trying to give free shit out to blacks so that they'll vote for them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're literally handing envelopes, not cash, because that would actually be a little too illegal. Yeah. Envelopes, white letter envelopes with cash inside of them.
Just have like smiley face Trump on
chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
This month.
Come with a free Chick-fil-A coupon.
Yeah.
This month.
I mean, yeah, that's
so like, to your point of like, they are literally willing to do bribery in the public here, and like, he brought Juan Guaido to the State of the Union. Like,
that is the wildest thing.
And speaking of the State of the Union, because I'm over the impeachment shit, I think I get nothing said about it. Speaking of the State of the Union, my boy brought Juan Guaido. Yeah. He did a whole
12 black people.
He did a whole like game show thing where it's like, and here's this Marine, and we're bringing her back to his family. Look, kiss the little daughter right there. Isn't it great that they're all white, all right? And then
isn't it great that we're still sending troops in and bombing 9 countries? Isn't it great? Look at this family reunion.
I'm gonna get us out of the forever wars. Look at this guy who's back. Send the other ones over there, especially if they're poor.
Hey, you see the poor ones? Put them in the Marines, and make them die.
And now the Medal of Freedom for Rush Limbaugh.
Oh God,
he was looking like a slut up there. Let me tell you.
Rush Limbaugh. Okay, well, here's another question I had.
Okay.
Do you think that this impeachment thing, because obviously there's a lot of debate on this, do you think that it helps or hurts Donald Trump?
Helps, 100%.
November?
It totally depends on who's the nominee is. It depends on who's the nominee. Well, I'll put it like this: the parent reason, like, it matters most who can message this, because as I was saying earlier, like,
this guy's so smart.
We all kind of knew like what was going to happen.
Yeah,
like from the get-go.
I still think it's going to help him in the long run, honestly, because there's going to be more and more people that are saying, look, our whole thing that goes and muddies the water, especially for the Democrats, and this could hurt Bernie in a way too, is they're saying, hey, he's running for the Democrat, and this is what the Democrats always do. They always put up shit. This is what Nancy Pelosi's been doing in the House all the time, is doing stupid shit all the time, just going against Trump, against Trump, against Trump. And this impeachment whole thing is just saying, hey, look, he's just trying to do his job, whatever, and they're just trying to take him down. That's all they want to do, is no matter what he's going to do, they're trying to take him down. And actually, that's what they do with Obama, too. Remember when he wore a tan suit, and the entire right-wingers were like, he's wearing a tan suit.
The reason I disagree with this is, like, I would have made, if the impeachment proceedings of Donald Trump from the Ukraine stuff were the same as Russiagate, then I would agree with you. But the issue is that Russiagate was this metal, like, I made the comparison when I was like criticizing the Mitt Romney vote, that, because remember, Mitt Romney, there are 2 articles of impeachment that the Senate had to do. Correct. One was the stuff that Trump was doing with Ukraine behind the scenes illegal. Number 2, was Trump's attempt to cover that up illegal? Romney acquitted him on the first one,
not the second.
And he's like, the first one of that was Trump doing dirt behind the scenes. Like, okay, it's muddy. It's in the middle of bureaucracy. It's muddied. There's like quid pro quo here, no quid pro quo there. There's like all this stuff of how you deal with this stuff with all you deal with foreign powers and reality politics. And it's complicated. The second one was on primetime TV. Yep. Like,
it happened in front of everybody.
Literally, Trump tweeted, like, basically, that whistleblower needs to be careful. Yes. Because we're gonna, like,
he just straight up threatened him and just expose everybody.
But somehow Mitt Romney doesn't have the courage on the thing we all saw in plain sight. Nope. He's willing to gaslight you on that. And so that's why all I'm saying is it's all about the message. The reason I didn't agree with you is because, as with Russiagate, where it was like all muddied, the impeachment with Ukraine was a lot clearer to people, so much so that a slim majority, but a majority of Americans, the day of the Senate vote, wanted Trump to be impeached. Not removed, but impeached.
Impeached, yeah.
So, like, I think public opinion's a little bit different of this. I think on the second time, people are a little bit fatigued, and just like, hey, now we have an election, now we have some candidates. I think the first order of business is whoever can win the narrative is going to do well. Yeah. I do tend to agree with Sean because Republicans are great at the narrative, they'll do it. But
which worries me for sure.
If a Democrat is elected who can beat the narrative, and by if a Democrat, I mean the only fucking one is Bernie Sanders, get fucking real people, then like, other than maybe the Democrat can go work against that. But you're not going to do it with Pete Buttigieg. You're not going to do it with Amy Klobuchar
or Elizabeth Warren. They're going to get fucking blitzkrieged.
Biden's campaign doesn't have a pulse, and that's the only joke I'm going to make.
Shit, I was going to say something, but I forgot after you said that. But yeah, I think it'll definitely be somebody who can actually like talk about it in a way that people can understand and not let Trump just like make jokes and like say weird shit. And I don't think Trump will debate Bernie. I think he will do what Bolsonaro did and just not debate somehow, say he's sick or whatever.
Absolutely. I think that's a Bernie's advantage.
He's actually scared of Bernie.
He is. The Lev Parnas tapes that came out of the Ukraine thing said where Donald Trump was recorded saying, you know, it's a good thing Hillary didn't pick Bernie as a VP in 2016. That would have been a problem.
Oh gosh, she picked Tim Kaine.
She picked Tim fucking Kaine.
And I always, for some reason, remember the vice presidential announcement speeches, because I remember Joe Biden introduced Barack Obama by saying, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the next vice president of the United States, Barack America. And it was like, that's all you need to know about Joe Biden.
And also, no one likes to, sidetrack, but with Joe Biden, in the 80s, he plagiarized everybody when he was trying to run for president.
Oh, yeah,
he got called out heavy.
Yeah.
He plagiarized a speech verbatim from the head of the Labour Party in England at the time. Like, word for word in like 1988, and they called him out, and then he's like, yeah, I did it. I did it. Gone.
I mean, Bloomberg's doing that right now, but like, to this point,
Bloomberg's buying it. Let's be real. He's buying those. He's just like, I'm buying my own copyright infringement on those speeches.
I think for sure it'll depend on who can like talk about these things in a way that makes sense. I do think that Bernie's the only one that can actually do that, and I do think that Trump will find a way to get out of debating, because that's what helped Bolsonaro in Brazil. Like that was like he's an idiot. And if you go and debate someone
who actually knows what they're talking about, like actual populist.
Not only that, and someone who like Bernie has like shadow jabs. Like when you think I watch him in debates. When you think he's gonna come for you in a debate, he doesn't. He pats you on the back. Mm-hmm. When you don't expect him to come for you, he does. Like he's a little shadow boxer here.
He's clever and he's intelligent and he has principles, and I think that for sure resonates with America. And Trump doesn't have a way to like counter narrative Bernie's message.
More so than the message, the image, because last election was mostly about the image.
Yeah, that's true.
It was the Comcast of politicians versus the Apprentice guy. Yeah, and we went with the Apprentice guy. Yeah. Now it's like the corrupt Apprentice guy we all knew was corrupt versus like the kind of loony, like curmudgeonly socialist Jew from New York.
Yeah, exactly. Who says words funny.
Bosant?
They probably knew each other.
No, Larry David and Bernie Sanders are definitely related.
Wait, Larry Sanders or Larry David?
Larry Sanders and Bernie David. Bernie Sanders and Larry David. Larry Sanders.
So Sean, you think that going back to what you were saying, do you think that it helps or hurts him okay, you're saying it depends on who is the nominee.
It depends who's on the nominee, but I still think in the long run it'll help if it's Bernie and Bernie does as well as he can do. I still think it helps him in the slightest bit, but my worry is going to help him a little bit more because people are so disenfranchised.
I mean, he is still an impeached president.
He is an impeached president, yeah. But
it only depends.
Look at his approval ratings too.
But that's just what I say is that like, just as Sean said that there are many other things to go against Donald Trump for, all those things are out there right now, and we haven't mentioned, unlike Democrats haven't chosen to run on those things and really brand Donald Trump as one of those things. Mm-hmm. What you need to do is Democrats need to get in a room at the convention and decide, what is Donald Trump? What are we going to brand Donald Trump? They need to pick one thing. and that's corrupt motherfucker. And then you spend the rest of the campaign season corrupt motherfucker.
Yeah, and talking about the exact thing.
I would do it as a liar.
No, I mean, like,
straight up, because look at all these campaign promises he did in 2016 that he's done absolutely none of them. My biggest thing is like, I'm going to drain the swamp. He puts Goldman Sachs executives into his fucking cabinet. He says, I'm going to get rid of the troops.
Yeah, John Bolton in there.
Yeah, exactly. He has the most neocon fucking war hawk dude.
John Bolton wasn't neocon enough for him.
Yeah.
We have not Richard Spencer, but who was the other white nationalist in the White House?
Stephen Miller.
Yes.
Well, you also have Rick Perry, the Secretary of Energy, who's in charge of nukes. Who the fuck let Rick Perry in charge of nukes?
That's fine. So far, so good, right?
So far, so good. Next thing you know.
Let's talk about Iowa.
Okay, so Iowa caucus happened. I guess was it New Hampshire?
No. New Hampshire.
New Hampshire's this Tuesday.
At the time we're recording, New Hampshire has not happened yet.
The caucus hasn't happened yet.
I mean, New Hampshire is a primary. Technically, the caucus hasn't happened yet because we haven't gotten any fucking votes in for the Iowa caucus.
Okay. So I'm not, honestly, I don't know a whole lot about this.
I know way too fucking much, so can I explain?
Yes, let's go.
From the beginning.
So we're talking about Iowa caucus, yeah?
Yeah. This story starts the Iowa caucus of 2016. Because that was also a very close one, where Hillary and Bernie were within like 0.2, 0.3 percentage points, as is right now with Bernie and Pete.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They were in 0.2, 0.3 percentage points. Wow. And that was definitely not as big of a mess, but the caucusing process, for people who don't... Yeah, the caucusing process, for people who don't know, unlike a regular vote in the primary...
I'm kind of aware of that.
Yeah, for the audience. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Unlike a regular vote in the primary where you just like tick a box somewhere on a piece of paper and send it to Russia, like in a caucus, you go to...
First class mail to St. Petersburg.
In a caucus, you go to like a church building or a high school gym or somewhere in your area
house,
where you meet someone, usually bigger, where you meet someone, like you meet with a bunch of people and you convince them to vote for your candidate. Yeah. And then there's several rounds of voting. So caucuses are really hard to count, and it was really messy last time, in addition to the other ways that Bernie got fucked by the DNC. So after that whole election process, different interest groups within the party from different like far left, center left, whatever, got together and made a bunch of new rules for the elections. And for the most part, like the left got a lot of what they wanted. Not everything, but a lot. But one of those was an updated way of doing the Iowa caucus that involves 3 important types of numbers: the popular vote, state delegate equivalents,
SDEs,
and delegates. The popular vote is just like the straight number. State delegate equivalents are like how many delegates does each little precinct or gymnasium or whatever have to give. And then the state delegate equivalents get converted into real delegates who are real people.
Which is the stupidest fucking thing.
Again, we could just solve this by having everyone just fill out a piece of paper and then send it to Russia.
Seriously.
But instead, we had a bunch of people get into a room to move around a bunch of times and then vote on an app and send it to the Russians.
Yeah, seriously.
No, so like that was the disaster. You go into this thing where there are 3 ways to count the winner. And then you go into this thing that Biden's supposed to have on lock if you've been paying attention to the establishment media forever. And
Biden's up by 5% or 5 points.
Biden's up by 7 points. He's really the favorite front runner. I mean, you know, when Biden hard no.
I've seen a Cory Booker sticker. I've never seen a Biden sticker.
Jesus Christ.
You saw a Cory Booker sticker?
I swear.
I've seen more Kamala Harris shit than I've seen Cory Booker.
Yeah.
She's in California at least.
Yeah.
But I saw Cory Booker and I saw somebody told me they saw a Klobuchar.
I saw a Klobuchar sticker the other day. I'm like, that's fucking rough.
That's a choice. But like, so yeah, the Iowa caucuses, as the results started coming in, things started looking really weird. Like, as we're reporting it, there's only 2% reporting for like 3 hours. Yeah. And then the Democratic Party's like, okay, we have some issues. We have this app that we gave people who are managing caucus sites to report the results. The app's not working. And the backup is a phone line. The phone lines are jammed.
Jesus. Landlines.
We can't report the votes, so
everybody wins.
I mean, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
So like what ended up happening was with 2% of the vote reporting, Pete Buttigieg decided to get up the stage and declare that he was a winner.
I am the glorious winner of this convention.
And Amy Klobuchar did too, right?
I mean, no, so like they all started giving speeches at the same time, and usually what you do when like results are coming in but you don't know them, but it's getting late, so you have to give a speech, is like, okay, we got a lot of momentum, Klobumentum. We got we're doing really well right now. We're going to take this momentum into the next state and declare victory. We did really great work here. I'm going to thank this person, that person. We're going to cheer. And like with your help, we're going to move this country forward.
Let's go.
Yeah. It's like a pep speech basically. Yeah. Buttigieg came in dick in hand doing a victory lap, like
I'm now a dig ride.
Like literally, it was just like, this is my night at 2% reporting. Some places were actually at 0% reporting. There's no way to tell, and in these early kind of things, like Buttigieg looked up, but you can't make a call at 2%.
Absolutely not.
And he goes, I am the winner.
So then, with chaos going on, there are rumors that the app had been hacked. We didn't know the full story till later,
Also,
but I'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to that in a moment.
Easily been hacked.
But we'll get to that in a moment. But Bernie decided to go, okay, I see Pete like waving his tail out.
Yeah.
I see Pete waving around his tail in front of the podium. I'm just gonna big dick him. And you know what he did?
My internal numbers say this.
Yeah, he had his campaign like, no bitch, we've been fucked before, this time we're coming correct. So his campaign was internally reporting the precinct results, which like all the campaigns do to some extent, but the Bernie people were like really serious about
because
it.
they're like, we got fucked in 2016. We have our own numbers, we have our own people doing it because that's how little we trust the DNC, and it says that we have a comfortable lead.
No. So they released their results that night with 40% in.
40, yeah.
And they had Bernie in first with the popular vote, Pete second, Warren a bit of a distant third, and Biden barely there,
like crawling,
and then everyone else just like not qualifying.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll just point out there for all the stands out there, more people voted uncommitted than voted for Tulsi Gabbard.
Ooh, what about Andrew Yang?
More people voted for Yang than uncommitted.
Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, the interesting thing was, you have multiple rounds of caucus voting. There's the first alignment, and then you have a minimum threshold. So if your candidate doesn't meet 15% of the people in that room voting for them, you're out. And so as a person voting for them, you have two options: leave or realign. That's the final alignment. Yang had the most people leave in first alignment. So he never reached 15% anywhere, and once that happened, a lot of people left, which is pretty consistent with the fact that a lot of Yang support is just like conservatives who would like $1,000 a month, but like they're just like Trump voters who would like money.
Yeah.
So and like they're just like, he's a libertarian vote, sadly, and I think that's reductive to Andrew Yang. He's not my favorite candidate, but I don't think he's a libertarian. He's just a little bit like not smart, but like he's overall. So like that was the thing. But yeah,
I know some Yang Gang guys that are going hard out here.
I stand by my statement and even double down. But like, mainly the night went on, actually the days went on, and the Democrats released more results and more irregularities were found. We found out that the app was created by a company called Shadow. That the app was not available on the App Store, but you had to download like a beta testing app and then sideload it to your phone, which like your phone will give you warnings about, which is like not for, if you're not tech savvy, this is going to freak you out. If you're just like someone who volunteered on poll day to manage a caucus, like this is going to freak you out.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're not going to know how to use this. They released the app the day of without testing it. They only worked on it 2 months in advance. And this company, Shadow, is part of a larger company called Acronym, which is basically this entire like no pun intended, but like shadow corporation enterprise where big donors from the Democratic Party infiltrate media, infiltrate technology, and infiltrate business and do lobbying. Major contributors to this fund, Barack's campaign, Hillary's campaign, Pete Buttigieg's campaign.
Biden too, no?
No,
not this cycle.
No, with the one before.
No.
Buttigieg did what, like 60,000 or something like that?
40,000.
40,000? Oh,
No, 21,000.
No?
$21,000. And for like a separate, so like this company contracts and does like different app products. It's not like they spend money to get the app that counts all the votes made.
Yeah.
I mean, in a cosmic business sort of sense, yes, but like they didn't pay for this project specifically. They're not in the same contract, but like it's the same company. So that raises eyebrows. But yeah, Nevada was gonna use this app. They decided to scrap it and just go back to fucking landlines and pagers. Like
fax machines.
Two ways.
The boost chirp. Where you at?
Direct connect.
That takes me back. So where are we now? Buttigieg claimed victory because he's white, and I guess he's used to it. I don't know. Okay. Bernie claimed victory because he won the most popular votes, and every single place, the Democratic Party decided to do a complete recount. The New York Times found inconsistencies. The New York Times itself was inconsistently reporting the results. So like the media fucked up, the party fucked up,
everybody fucked up.
Everyone fucked up, but Pete was able to come out with a media advantage. And like people, and so he's gonna get basically a slightly earned, because no one expected him to win Iowa, but like definitely an unearned bump because he came out as like the winner before Bernie came out 2 days later and said, okay, yeah, I'm actually kind of the winner too.
Yeah, and I honestly didn't expect him to get that much support. I was thinking it was going to be Bernie and Warren, to be honest with you.
I didn't think Warren was going to get support. I thought Buttigieg was going to be second, but I didn't think he was going to be that close.
Warren's the big surprise.
I thought it was going to be
that she was
like
so low.
That she was third.
Really?
Yeah, I thought she was going to be lower than that, honestly.
I
thought it was going to be Bernie, Buttigieg,
I thought it was going to be Bernie, Biden, Buttigieg, Warren.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I thought it was going to be Bernie, Warren, Biden, then Buttigieg.
Because my thing was, I thought it was going to be like 26, 27% Bernie, and then it would have gone down to like 15 or 20 Buttigieg, and then just down the rest.
I feel like Buttigieg tries to sound like Barack Obama. Like,
exactly.
That's why he can appeal to people, because the thing with him is,
I feel like he's changing his voice inflections.
No, but literally.
People are like, I want a standard politician, because, so you know how a lot of Democrat voters are like, I'm scared of like the Trump stuff. I want a normal politician sounding guy.
There are people who think we were talking earlier about like what actually went wrong, and we went into the context of things, but there's some people who think November 2016 is when the country turned to hell, and that we need to go back to October 2014.
Or are we going to go back to 2009 or something?
Or what they want is
I want to go back to 2009 because the markets are down.
What they want is 2013, like markets going up, Obama's second term, we're looking chilling, like 2 Chainz and Ray Shrimmer. That's exactly what they want.
DJ Mustard was on the internet.
DJ Mustard.
I mean, it was all Mustard beats. 2014 summer was like a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests and stuff. 2014 was pretty turned up. So we have a
liberal day.
So the Iowa caucus was a shit show. Do you think that whole thing? I mean, I would imagine it's going to be forgotten at some point. But if things like that tend to happen, do you think that hurts the Democrats and everybody running against Trump in November? Is it something that the Republicans can play on?
It actually helps Bernie in a way, but it hurts Democrats. So if Bernie somehow pulls out the nomination, it'll help his base and the people voting for him, because they say, hey, look, he's the super anti-establishment guy who somehow still got it because he has this much support.
And the establishment is actively trying to fuck him, and he's still
it's like literally in plain saying how they're actively trying to fuck him. And now what it's doing is it's riling up people to contribute to his campaign more.
People are flying from Australia to New Hampshire and Iowa to caucus for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who
he has a big movement.
Who I talked to who have never been into politics before, who have donated to Bernie's campaign because of this. I know 4 people off the top of my head right now, which is crazy to me.
Hey, you know 4 people.
Oh yeah, exactly. 'Cause I don't fucking talk to people. But like, that's my thing with it. But it hurts, I think, Democrats in local elections. So like Senate seats, Congress seats, and stuff like that. I think for that it hurts them there for sure, because the party's now super tainted, because they've already seen what happened in 2016, and now they're seeing it even more. So more people can be disenfranchised with Democrats, as I am myself as an independent. So
okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
What would you think of if the DNC, even if it's legit, it seems legit anyway, Buttigieg or Biden is a nominee, and Bernie runs the third party?
I don't think that would happen.
I don't think so either. Would you look at him sideways?
What's more likely to happen in that scenario would be a contested convention.
Yeah.
And so that's actually what Warren is planning out right now. Yep. Warren's trying to say, like, okay, Biden is to the vultures, like, I don't care.
Yeah, fuck
it's
Biden.
Basically, I have to shoot up to Bernie and Pete. she's gonna try because she's had this like mostly non-aggression pact, and all of her aggression has been really weak sauce, like that fake sexism thing that happened a couple weeks ago. But like literally, Bernie and Warren should and probably will end up being president and vice presidential candidates together. But in the case where Pete's going for it, I don't think Warren's going to be the VP in that case. No. Nor would Pete be Warren's pick. It would probably be like Tim Kaine. And like
getting interviewed by Pusha T.
Hey, at least Tim Kaine can speak Spanish. It's probably the one.
And speaks more Spanish than Beto O'Rourke.
Tim Kaine probably has more black friends than Pete.
Well, he got interviewed by Pusha T, so.
And there's also that. But the main issue, or like, Warren is trying to punch up so that in a contested convention, she could say, look, Pete appeals to these people that I appeal to, Bernie appeals to these people that I appeal to, I'm the unity candidate. That's basically the best bet she has right now, because she's, if we're going to talk about like the game theory math of this, we're recording this 2 days before New Hampshire, but Bernie's going to do well in New Hampshire. It's probably going to win because it's home court advantage. Then you have Nevada, which is like a mix of Iowa and South Carolina, because it's a caucus, so it's that kind of way. But it's like South Carolina in that there are black people there and like actual people of color. No offense, Iowa, but like fucking seriously. And so Pete Buttigieg is gonna get mauled there. And then it's South Carolina where like he's gonna get like just completely rolled
because he doesn't appeal to minorities at all. Iowa's 90% white.
I will say the saddest thing about seeing political commentary recently is that I've heard the sentence, there's a saying on Twitter, or people saying on Twitter that Mayor Pete has no black support, or Mayor Pete has no, people are saying on Twitter that Mayor Pete has no black friends. Like, they're basically just saying my Twitter handle as political analysis, which shows how lazy they are. This is not a flex on me. This means like they are literally this lazy. They're like, I'm on Twitter, one person said this, people are saying this, America.
That's like the biggest thing in media nowadays, from like bullshit, like celebrity gossip to like real people. Just create a narrative because you saw one person say it, or you didn't see anybody say it, and you can just
or like, here's a thing that happened and here's how Twitter responded. Yeah, that's a lot of what Fox News
did. Fox News will pull up this happened the other day, I'm like, when did they start pulling up random people on Twitter and say, this is a whole point? I go, what?
It's just to have some kind of like enemy.
It's really just boomer TV, because like if you are at all Twitter adept, you'll know that like, no, you can't do that. Like,
and who cares what people say in the comments and shit?
Right. Yeah. It's a generational thing though. So like,
so hypothetically speaking,
so Super Tuesday is where it gets interesting.
But hypothetically speaking, what if Bernie does the Ralph Nader? Will you look at him sideways? Would you be like, damn dog, like you're kind of getting Trump elected with this?
No. I wouldn't encourage him to do that, and I don't think he's gonna do that.
I don't either. But come on. Okay. Would you look at him sideways if he did it though?
No, because I would look at pretty much any other person sideways.
Except for Bernie?
Yeah, and it's not because of a cult of Bernie or anything. I try to remove myself from aspects of the left that are cults of Bernie, but he has the best case to make that he's being fucked.
No, I would say that's my whole thing about that's kind of gangster, because you're saying fuck the whole political
but it's like for sure.
Like Tulsi Gabbard's going to do the third party thing, and I'm going to look at her sideways.
Oh, because it's like, girl, you've got no support, like no matter what. Bernie at least has a whole giant thing of him.
On Iowa Caucus night, and Iowa Caucus is the only thing these fucking Iowans have besides corn and meth. All right, so like on the Iowa Caucus nights,
and a really big dirty river.
The only like more people literally didn't make up their minds than supported Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. Okay, failed to qualify. You're done. Like get out.
So I want to. I think I already know, but like, what's your thing with Tulsi Gabbard? I'm not a big fan of hers either, but
when she flipped on Medicare for All was my big thing, where I'm like, yeah, you're fucking, I'm over it.
Like, what is
her foreign policy is okay. I can get on board with most of it, but the stuff with her was she was signed up for Medicare for All for the bill, but said that then eventually said that she's not for it, pretty much.
Yeah,
which like that is
your big thing too?
That is the biggest flip flop for me. Like, I don't like it when people flip flop a lot, especially when you sign on to something and say, hey, this is what I'm going to run for, whatever, and then when she gets asked a question for it or whatnot, and then it goes completely opposite of it, and I'm like, then why do you say all of these things? You support all of these leftist agenda stuff that we want to get done, but then you go back on it. So then what else are you going to go back on?
Right. I've seen a lot of flip-flopping from Tulsi Gabbard. Medicare for All is an easy one, but like everyone jumped onto Medicare for All because Bernie set the standard, and everyone wanted to like out Bernie, and then when they realized that like no dumbass politicians. That's not how this works. You're playing with a different animal here. They then became Medicare for all extra or Medicare for all who want it.
Who want it. Or like that, when
Medicare
Advantage. Everybody
public option. Like they just threw it out the window because like. Yeah,
because also they don't. This is how fucking stupid Americans are. They don't understand what a Medicare for all system is too. But also they didn't think of, okay, if I'm going to run for this, I have to explain this to the American people about what their taxpayer money is going to go to, because that's what the Republicans are going to say against this. How much taxes and how much stuff it is, but then you have to say, obviously, it's cheaper in the long run, this and that. But people don't think of what to do, and they go and they pay.
One of the good things that the Democrats did do after 2016 was decide they're going to have a shit ton of debates, because thankfully, every single time during these debates that thankfully, like at this point, no one watched, but now all these candidates are prepared for, Elizabeth Warren was always asked, hey, you have a Medicare for all bill. How are you going to pay for it? Which was great because Warren took all the fire, and Warren could not explain it. Warren stumbled explaining it, and she had to run through it every single time like a fucking drill until she got good at it. And like I don't think she's. And here's the thing: Warren, because of that, like bullying by the moderators at that point, stepped away from Medicare for all and watered down her plan. But in that, we learned the lesson that okay, Republicans are just going to toss the "how you're going to pay for it" thing, as though it's like the word Venezuela. You just say it and then you just Thanos away all of the socialists.
Exactly, because they say socialism Venezuela.
And there's like
one of my favorite conversations I ever had with somebody before who is really like right-wing. I'm like, define socialism for me. If you're always going to yell about socialism, define what it actually is to be socialist. As the resident socialist here, what does it mean? And they couldn't fucking explain it.
Yeah, of course not. I'm not really into Tulsi Gabbard. I kind of feel like a lot of the stuff she tried to be like the anti-war candidate, and like I remember like when she went to Syria and stuff, which like. I mean, for me, I'm just like, oh, that's cool, but like, that's easy for you. Like, you know, like you're from nobody cares about Syria and Hawaii, dude. But she's like she said some stuff that's kind of contradictory to her whole anti-war kind of, like she's down for drone bombings, and she still talks about like the war on terror in a way that makes it seem like you're not actually against war and like imperialism. Like you're just kind of like trying to siphon these right-wing, these so-called like these people that are like against war that are Trump supporters who they're probably actually not. They're just gonna dick ride Trump no matter what.
But there are also these like leftists who like to claim that they're war woke and more war woke than anyone else on the left, and so they see like Tulsi Gabbard repeats regime change wars a lot, so I'm with her.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's the same stuff. It's people, the chuds who believe that Trump was gonna end the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's the same.
Which for me, I'm just like, you know, I mean, I saw some of these people that I follow, and I'm just like I thought you were better than that. Honestly, like I'm like, damn, like you're smart. Like what? Like how could you be fooled by this? And okay. I don't know like who you pay attention to and follow whatever, but the thing I can respect about you as somebody that's like into politics and smart and like knows what they're talking about is like, I feel like there's a lot of people on the left that are super duper leftist ideological and also just want to be contrarians, like just be contrarian to everything.
Interesting.
And
we know Dan and I know those people.
Yeah, and it's like it just gets annoying because I'm like, all you ever do is attack Democrats, and I'm also
Jimmy Dore,
and I'm like. Which, like, yeah, we know, like, a lot of these people you're talking about, like, they ain't shit. We know that already. Yeah. But you also have this person in the White House and their whole administration, all the shit they're doing. And it's like, you won't even mention them by name a lot of times. Like, I went and searched on Twitter, like, Aaron Mate, Republican. I went so far back to, like, last November to a person saying, does Aaron Mate ever talk about Republicans? And then Aaron Mate responded to that guy by showing, like, 4 tweets he had from, like, the past, like, however many years. And, like, the dude was like, well, damn, like, you had to do all that, and there's only, like, 4 tweets. It's, like, barely anything critical. And also Benjamin Norton, I did the same thing. I'm just like, yo, like, what's like?
That's what they cash in on.
If I was a conspiracy theorist, I would think that you're just a plant. Like, it seems like you would rather Trump be reelected so you can just talk shit about Democrats And if Bernie or whoever's elected, you're just going to keep talking shit about Democrats. Michael Tracy's another one too. I had responded to him one time, not that he knows or saw it or whatever, but like,
oh, he probably saw it. He spends no time like actually outside.
Like, I was like, he was talking about Obama, and this is maybe a few months ago, and I'm like, I hope 3 years into the next Democrat presidency, you're talking about Trump, because we're 3 years into Trump and you're talking about Obama. Like, what do we? Whose side are you on?
It's really lazy leftist punditry because, like, back then people criticized Obama because he was in office,
yeah,
and he was doing stuff that wasn't very.
Then you
left.
could say, or you could, if you talk about something like a policy agenda of a Democrat nominee that's similar to Obama's, then you can say to them, get that. But if you're just going to keep pounding shit of a past presidency, but not talk about
the current presidency,
the atrocities that's going on in this administration,
and it's a perfectly fine point to say.
I like what you said, the lazy left punditry. I'm going to write that down.
It's a perfectly fine thing to say that Trump is continuing an Obama administration policy, and there are very few things,
like droning and stuff.
Like drones, there's immigration things, and absolutely stuff like that. But like you have to also talk about what's happening now if you're going to.
Then you can also say
otherwise
also say that Trump is still continuing it when he said he was going to stop it. That's what I've been saying forever. It's like he said he's going to get rid of drones, he's going to get rid of troops, and he keeps continuing putting more in.
Yeah, but then
why do you talk about that?
Most internet punditry is just appealing to some audience you've created, and then you can't really escape that audience because they're your lifeline. And so it's a weird.
So in a weird way, they become corporate media. Which is they're becoming that.
They become small business media.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like the same concept.
Yeah, it's kind of the same concept.
But it's not
very few that
it's not like small business media in the sense of like, oh, that's the mom and pop shop guy, man, we love him. No, it's like the liquor store where they yell at you for walking around because they think you're not buying something.
Yeah, literally, it's like you become, because that's your cash cow or whatever. Like, I gotta talk about, like, if I'm Jimmy Dore or whatever, like, I gotta make sure I talk shit about the Democrats all the time because that's what they want to hear from me.
Did you just see? He went on. I
haven't watched it in so long.
Jimmy Dore went on Tucker Carlson the other day, and I go, oh Lord. And it was just a shit. Him just literally shitting on Democrats the entire time because it was like 2 days ago.
Jimmy Dore wants to be Tucker Carlson. He wants to take that job.
But I just want to. My favorite Jimmy Dore is when you talk about the petrodollar every day. That was a good run.
I just wonder, like, on some level, and I don't like to just put shit out there for no reason, but I like to ask the question. I'm like, maybe it's because they're white men. Like, they don't really feel the same pressure as someone like myself, because for me, I'm like, maybe they don't feel Trump's energy, like the energy that the Trump administration and even his campaign puts into the country. Like,
it does.
There was a time there's been some like days or weeks where I'm like, yo, this shit feels weird out here. Like, this shit feels different. Like, it's a different kind of tension than it was
as a person of color.
Yeah, and like, not that I think somebody's gonna come attack me, but it's just feels weird, like, especially when
awaken that base that hasn't been awakened for a long time. Really.
You see it this week if you're.
It should normalize a group of people that haven't been normalized in 40 years.
I mean, we saw it in 2017 as Trump was getting inaugurated. If you were like Muslim or like adjacent
Muslim
looking, if you were a Sikh. Now, like, this is less Trump related, but like if you're like East Asian at all, everyone instantly thinks coronavirus.
Exactly.
Freaked out by it.
Because that's definitely a thing.
But it's the same phenomenon of like we're actually with real talk. It's the same phenomenon of people like there's a different aura in the air because of the way this society under this president kind of looks at different places.
It looks at people as, instead of just people as, okay, what is this person?
Is this person an enemy?
Is this person going to hurt me? Is this person going to attack me or whatever?
I've never been like afraid to go outside or anything like that. But there's been some days, some weeks, especially during the Muslim ban, like the people were at the airport. It just felt weird outside. It was like, yo, like, I don't know, like, where this is gonna go, because if like one shot gets fired at this airport, like, this shit's over.
It's game over, yeah.
Like, it's gonna get crazy out here. And there's been some times, even like with the Charlottesville thing, it's like, like, if one shot gets fired, like, it's pandemonium, and you don't know how much it's gonna spread.
It's funny, and how he said as a of men of color, how it makes you feel stringent too.
What about you?
As I say, as
a man of ambiguous color.
As a man of ambiguous color, as a man of many colors. No, it makes me feel strange too, because I'm like, why are these groups of people who are the same color of me are showing themselves as this and not include and have their racist stuff saying this when someone like me, I don't feel that way at all. And it's like it's also confusing for me as well. It's hard. It's hard. Something that's been hard to explain because I've been brought up here, so in a mixed racial household. But then seeing all of that stuff like Charlottesville is a great example of that. I'm like, holy shit, that stuff still exists. That makes me very uncomfortable because then I don't want anybody to think as that of me because like other people say that. Exactly. Like as me, obviously, I'm very proud to be German, but I'm not like above those people and shit. So I'm like, wait, are people going to start saying that shit about me
German,
now?
American,
exactly,
and mixed ancestry.
Yeah.
I want to wrap up with a reading series. It's really funny. And it's going to be quicker than last time.
We're wrapping up.
But, I mean, we're recording for an hour. It's kind of quick.
I have one more thing to say though.
But no. But like, I have a question for Sean, and then we can have that thing, and then we'll like wrap up.
Okay, gotcha.
But like, my question is, have you ever been in, especially now, have you noticed situations where you are around a bunch of our fair-skinned folks, the whites, and you're expected to agree or think a certain way that they do in the group that you feel like is assumed of you, but like not something you actually
because
do.
as someone who's a very avid golfer, that's definitely around on golf courses. 100%.
I don't see no bruises on your knuckles. You ever check somebody for that shit? Don't look like it. I'm joking.
These are white males of power, and they will like kill me immediately because they've got all the money in the world. Right? They'll Epstein me. Like I'm afraid of those people. But that's definitely
make it look like a botched accident.
Not the
Wow, now I have to bleep that. You gotta really bleep that, dude. Fucking A. Timestamp 1:17:30.
Okay, well, I have a friend who's he's like an older white guy. Hangs out in Fullerton. May end up seeing him tonight, but he said the same thing. He used to come to FDS. Actually, he came to FDS actually when I had my Black History Month film series.
Oh yeah.
He came to a couple of the films.
Nice.
And he was saying that he was like, yeah, like I'm like an old white guy, and like he's like, you have no idea the amount of racist shit that guys like my age, white guys my age, say to me because they think I'm just gonna agree with them.
That happens to me on like there because they're like, oh, don't you like?
Go ahead and say it. Be explicit.
Okay. No, they're like, oh, because Trump's in office. Look how great this is because Trump's in office.
No, that's nothing.
They'll say like this. Oh, look, you got like our people are doing well. I've heard that too, and I go. And I went off on something. I'm like, what do you mean by our people? And then it's like, what do you mean by? He's like, no, it's like our people. I'm like, what do you mean by that? Because obviously I look white ass, but my last name is definitely not white. And I'm like, no, what the fuck you on about, dude? But then I've heard that.
Is your last name Jenkins?
Yes, definitely Jenkins.
This is a different kind of podcast. We're not that like government with us, though, right? But like, let's. What was your last question?
Well, no, I was just gonna mention that thing. About
it's for sure because it's interesting as. All of us can feel that tension for sure in the air, and tension with other people now too. It's sad, and it shouldn't have to come down to it.
And
but
I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't felt it on a personal level. It was just a couple of times where just like it feels like
the energy and stuff.
The energy, just like the news, and it's just like.
I understand that.
No, 100% understand that because I felt that for Charlottesville. Because I'm like, okay, if someone fired a shot there...
I felt it less for Charlottesville than the whole Muslim ban protested at the airport. I felt it a lot. Then I had a friend who had just went to France at that time. And he was like, oh, I'm gonna come back in a couple. I was like, dog, don't come back. Wait, because it's weird out here right now.
Shit can happen.
We've all been to LAX. Them cops carry assault rifles at LAX inside the airport.
Oh, yeah.
Big old crazy guns. And I'm like, if somebody does something stupid there, people are gonna get mowed down. You know?
No Russian.
It's a Call of Duty level.
I would like to wrap up with...
It's an infamous Call of Duty level.
It's a Call of Duty level that end up on newscasts. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I'd like to end with a quick reading series. So the fabulous, wonderful job doers of the New York Times conducted a project where they asked all the candidates about their stances on foreign policy.
This was in the latest...
the New York Times, yes. So in December, the New York Times sent a questionnaire to the 14 Democratic presidential candidates who were at the time in the race. 11 completed it, including Cory Booker and Marianne Williamson, who are no longer in the race. John Delaney and Tulsi Gabbard received requests to fill out the foreign policy questionnaire and did not respond. The Times will update if they provide answers. Pete Buttigieg answered some of the questions.
Okay.
So it's a really long, thorough questionnaire. I encourage people to go on LiveLeak for a New York Times subscription.
Well, can you drop the link in the thing?
Yeah, a New York Times subscription and pirate it and look at it and figure it out because it's a really interesting work. But I think it would be interesting to look at as an exercise. What were the questions that Pete Buttigieg chose not to answer?
Ooh.
Yep, this is a great quote. Because here's the thing that we said about Pete Buttigieg is he has no fucking policy. So let's hear it.
Buttigieg.
So, is there any situation in which you could see yourself using American troops or covert action in a regime change effort? If so, under what circumstances would you be willing to do that? Mr. Buttigieg did not answer this question.
Venezuela.
Is it appropriate for the United States to provide non-military support for regime change efforts, as the Trump administration did in Venezuela? Mr. Buttigieg did not answer this question. Regarding possible future military action against Iran, is there any type of response that is off the table for you?
Ooh,
wow.
Didn't answer that? What a lame.
Mr. Buttigieg did not answer this question. Would you continue the personal diplomacy President Trump began with Kim Jong-un of North Korea?
Why the fuck do you... Wow.
Would you tighten sanctions until North Korea has given up all of its nuclear and missile programs?
Didn't answer.
Would American troops be in Afghanistan at the end of your first term? If so, would you limit these troops' missions to counterterrorism and intelligence gathering? Would American presence in Afghanistan be dependent on other nations contributing troops on the ground? Keep in mind, all the other candidates answered these questions.
I saw Bernie's answer.
John Delaney didn't, and Tulsi Gabbard didn't, but all the other candidates answered all these questions. And they may have stumbled through them. They may have given dumb answers. They may have given great answers. How long do you envision American troops being required in any numbers in Afghanistan? Mr. Buttigieg did not answer this question.
Marianne Williamson answered love.
Crystals. Would American presence in Afghanistan be dependent on other nations contributing troops on the ground? No answer.
What a loser.
Should the United States maintain its current level of military aid to Israel? And if not, how should the level change? Mr. Buttigieg did not answer that question.
You can't be talking all that.
Should all Palestinian refugees and their descendants have the right to return to Israel?
Ooh!
That's a great fucking question.
I thought his dad's from Malta or something with an Arabic name.
Most of the other candidates answered this question. Pete Buttigieg was the only one who opted not to. He answered other questions than this, but apparently the easy ones. Do you support the establishment of a Palestinian state that includes West Bank land as demarcated by the pre-1967 borders, except for long-time Israeli settlements?
He didn't
except for a settlement. That's the easy way out of that question.
Rat
right
emoji.
There.
Rat emoji. Rat emoji.
Damn.
Should Russia be required to return Crimea to Ukraine before it is allowed back in the G7? Mr. Buttigieg did not answer this question.
No, he's real scary.
Should respect for Hong Kong's political independence, under the terms of the handover and agreement with Britain, be a prerequisite for normal relations and trade with China?
Oh, what the hell?
Mr. Buttigieg did not answer that question. It's a complicated matter.
That's the only question I'll give him a pass on. The rest are easy.
You better give him a pass on the Israel question.
Yeah, here's what I'm not giving.
No. He better answer that.
Mr. Buttigieg did not answer this much easier question. Should normal relations and trade with China be contingent on them closing internment camps for Uyghurs and other Muslim minority groups? Tulsi Gabbard saw that question just throughout the entire thing.
Wait, those are real?
That was a real question.
No, the camps are real? Oh, I'm good.
Should NATO nations pay more for defense than their current commitment of at least 2% of GDP? This is the Trump thing.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
This was the thing that made me so mad when people were, the left people, talking about Trump being an anti-war candidate and being against NATO. I'm like, the dude is only saying more money for NATO, more money for the military. When does that mean less war?
Yep. When is ballooning the budget?
Like, when does that mean less war? It was like, I'm like, what are you hearing? He wants more money for NATO.
But
if you're against NATO, just be like, hey, let's get rid of NATO.
Disband NATO.
I'm positive about that because what Trump did, inadvertently or not, was communicate an accounting trick to the American public, and they sold it. Basically, Medicare for all is an accounting trick. We're paying the same amount of money we're paying to insurance companies, but in taxes, and because it's all one system, less.
Yeah. But I mean, we don't have Medicare for all because of white supremacy. But
we don't have Medicare for all because of our white supremacy mixed with imperialist state.
Yeah, because Blackie will have to get it too.
Should nations that do not fulfill their NATO funding commitments still receive an assurance Should nations that do not fulfill their NATO funding commitments still receive an assurance of U.S. aid as if they are attacked?
That's such an easy question.
Pay up or fuck off.
That's such an easy question. It's like,
oh, your house is on fire? Did you pay the fire bill?
Is Peter Libertarian? Let's see.
That ass.
I got this.
He's such a snake, man.
I just can't even believe that people are.
Should a presidential order be required to launch a cyber strike in another country just as required to launch a nuclear strike? I think this is vague.
What the hell is a cyber strike? That's just cap. We're cyber striking everybody all the time.
Yeah, that's a shitty.
They were hacking Angela Merkel's phone, dude. Like, come on now.
U.S. Cyber Command's new strategy is persistent engagement. Okay, so they're just like dudes online.
Yeah.
Literally, they were tapping Dilma Rousseff's phone and Angela Merkel. Like
Angela's like, get out of my phone now.
She's like, I just don't have a phone.
Meaning the U.S. goes deep inside foreign computer networks to constantly engage with adversaries and dissuade strikes on the U.S. Would you continue this policy?
I mean, did he answer any of the goddamn questions? Shit.
Last one.
Oh.
If you answered yes to the last question, would you nevertheless insist that other nations pursuing persistent engagement could not be inside American power grids and other critical infrastructure? So it's a show me mine, I'll show you yours question. Mm-hmm. He didn't answer the first question. Yes, so naturally, he did not answer this one either. Which, okay, I give him a pass on 2 questions.
Yeah, too, but the rest is so easy to even just do as a yes or no.
There's 11 different topics. Each topic has like anywhere between 7 to 2 questions, but out of the total, there were 19 instances in which Pete decided not to answer.
Yeah, he doesn't even know his foreign policy yet. He's like, whoever's going to give me the most money is going to be doing the foreign policy.
Whatever he thinks will be, whatever his donors think will be most politically expedient for the plebes who can't make their own decisions will be
people are voting for him just because he's gay. So
people are voting him because people are voting for him because
I've seen a lot of that shit online. So
no, are you serious?
I saw my worst nightmare thread ever. I saw was people saying, "Oh my God, yes, Pete doing this for all of the LGBTQ community. This is amazing. Oh my God, I'm going to vote for him because of his orientation and stuff." I go, oh my God, is that really what you're going to do?
I mean, like, it's...
a lot of people voted for Obama because he's black.
Yeah, and a lot of people want to vote for Hillary because she's a woman. But I think the main issue is, like, there's that meme that goes... It's basically these people in the Middle East looking up at these bombs coming from the sky going, hey, I bet a woman will be sending them next time. Won't that be awesome? Yeah, exactly. It's like you're not changing the ideas just because you're changing the
face. You can even go, hey, look, Bernie Sanders is a Jew. We've never had a Jew president before.
Depends what he does for Israel. That's where the rubber hits the road.
Say ish. I'm uncomfortable unless you say Jewish. I'm uncomfortable.
This has been I don't know if we want to brand this really yet, but this has been a podcast.
I guess
call it now.
A broadcast.
A podcast with the anarchy sign as the A.
The U.S. government won't allow us to collect money yet, so we don't have a Patreon. But once that happens,
I'm gonna write down another question when we talk about Russiagate next time. I actually have another question.
Cool, we'll have that.
This was a good conversation.
Follow us or don't. We'll apparently have another one, so we'll talk to you next time.
Lazy left punditry. I gotta write that down. I like that a lot because I've been seeing a lot of that shit.
Ho Chi Minh is life.